Alright, what's up YouTube? Today is finally the valve cover. I've mentioned this in a bunch of previous videos that I'm going to do it, and it's finally going to happen today. So we're going to paint it blue. I've got the right heat paint, so it shouldn't melt off like it did with the header, and hopefully my valve cover will look a lot better than it does. Alright, so the first thing we got to do is disconnect all of these wires. They usually pop out pretty easy with a screwdriver. Push it and it comes right out. And then just pull it the rest of the way off with your hand. Alright, so then you also have to take this screw out. That's just a ground wire. It's a 10 mil. And then your whole wiring harness should just be able to pop right off. And you have to remove this. It's just a hose clamp. So if you just get a pair of pliers. So you just take this hose clamp and slide it over. Alright, so you got that hose clamp off, and then you have to just pull this right off. And there you go. And the next thing you have to do is remove all of these nuts. I think there's 9 of them. Again, 10 mil. So remove all those. And that's pretty much it. And then there's like a little line back there that you might have to like bend out of the way once you remove all the nuts to get the valve cover out. And it should just slide right up. Oh, I forgot. You got to take these out. All your plug harnesses. And they just twist right out. And then remove your timing cover too. Alright, it might help if you remove this right here, this hose clamp. I know it's a little different if you don't have a silicone inlet pipe, if you have a stock one, but it sits in pretty much the same spot. So I'm just going to loosen that hose clamp, pull this out, and then it'll give me a little more access. Might remove this one too. Just pull that out and it'll give me a little more access. So if you remove this and you remove this, that gives you a lot of access to that 9th nut. It's in the back. Alright, I'm also going to remove these 2 hex heads. I think this little line is just kind of getting in my way, and I don't really want to bend this one. These are 6 mil socket heads, so if you have a 6 mil Allen key, you'll be fine. And then that'll allow this to move back, and the valve cover will be able to come up. Alright, with that out of the way, the whole valve cover should just be able to lift up. I gotta wear gloves because the engine's super hot because I just drove it. Should have let it cool down, but whatever. So there's a little metal line in the back of the engine. You probably have to bend just a little bit just so this will come up. And then should come right off now. There it is. The valve cover is finally taken off. Alright, so now that the valve cover is off, what I need to do is just grind all this off of it so I can paint it. You're going to want to, just put something over the engine just so you don't get anything inside of it while the valves are exposed. I'm going to close the hood too, and then I'm going to just get to sanding that, grinding it down, and it should be good from there. Alright, so I sanded down the whole valve cover and I started to paint it. I'm just going to do a bunch of light coats, and it already is starting to look pretty good, I think. Okay, so I'm going to let that sit for a while, and then I'm going to throw a couple more coats on, and then I'm going to clear it. So I got this all painted, and I just threw a coat of clear on, using all this Duplicolor stuff. I'm going to take off the old gasket right out of here. Should just lift out. It's actually got these little tabs on it. So that's one of them off. on with the new gasket, just like that. This gasket is kind of like fried on there right here, so you might need a screwdriver or something to just pry it off. Yeah, and it just, so yeah, this gasket is, it's a good thing to be replacing that. These things just kind of slide right off, and they just kind of sit in there. You don't need to take them off, but they might make it easier for you to get the gasket out. This gasket came out in 3 pieces when it was done, so just gonna say goodbye to that. Try to put this new one on. The new gasket went on easier than the old one came off. Just make sure it's in all the grooves how it's supposed to be. It's a little bit wonky over here in the back, so just make sure it's seated properly. Like right now, you can see that it's kind of off, so obviously don't put the valve cover back on if it's kind of off like that. All right, if you take these off, don't forget to put them back on. Just slide right over those valves like that. Now you gotta do everything, you know, backwards, put it all back together, and it should look good. So I'm just gonna put on one last coat, and then that will be it. And then I'm gonna put it back together. Okay, so I slid the valve cover back on. It went on pretty easily, actually. I would just recommend being real careful so you don't scrape up any of the paint that you just put on when you put it back in. I think that's gonna look really good. I gotta put all the nuts and bolts back on, and then that should be pretty much it. Little tip, if you're doing this, be careful. Just be super careful when you put the nuts back on that you don't drop them down in anywhere. It'll just be hard to get them back out. Like put the oil cap back on. Really easy to drop one in the back and just have it fall down in that heat shield, and that would just kind of stink. So just be super careful when you're putting those 3 on. And these ones in the middle too, you don't want to drop it down to where the plugs are. Okay, so all the nuts are back on. Now I've just got to reconnect the hoses and put the timing cover back, just reclip it in, and that'll be it. Alright, so I got all of the hoses hooked back up. Put this back on. Now I just got to put the plug harnesses back in. And that's pretty much it, I think. So these go in real easy, just like how they came out. You just kind of push it in and twist it into place. You push these in, just like I just twisted that one in, and you can see it's a little higher than the other ones. Make sure you really push it down, and it kind of makes a little bit of a click. That's how you know it's good. You just want to slide these on, and you hear a little click. And then you got to put this ground back in too. It might be a good idea to just take the paint off the top of this. Yeah, and this just screws right in. So just tighten that down and it's good. But that's how it looks. I think that looks awesome. And then I just got to clip that timing cover back on. That's just a little clip, so hopefully it works fine. Thanks for watching.